Hello, Dr. Karen here. Welcome to this week's Spiritual Medicine Digest entitled Radical Self-Responsibility. But before we get into that topic, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and perhaps the notification bell so every time I do a new video, you will be notified. There's also kind of cool, helpful links at the bottom with some freebies I'd like to share with you too, so check that out if you are new to my channel. So let's get to the topic of the week. Okay, radical self-responsibility. What is this? Well, many of you have already timeline jumped. Like myself, we did this a couple of months ago to the ideal new timeline, the collective reality where we experience all that prosperity, that health and well-being. And yet you're like, well, but I'm struggling with ascension symptoms. How is that possible, right? So a couple of things. One is that we do need to be a resonant energy match, not just to that new reality, and we may have mentioned that before in other spiritual medicine digests, but also the light frequencies that we may participate in communion with these beautiful light frequencies or light beings. So that's one piece. But here's what I'm seeing. There is a saying that says, if you're willing to do only what's easy, then life will be hard. If you're willing to do what's hard, then life will be easy. And I think that's really true. Now, doing what's hard for people is not what they think it is. And here's the crux of it. Okay, and this is where the radical self-responsibility comes in. I'll give you a scenario. So perhaps you have a family member who is ill. That's true of myself. So a family member who is ill, who has made certain health choices because they have the free will to make those health choices. Maybe these are health choices that you have not thought was a good idea, or maybe you thought they were terrible health choices, right? In your perspective, judgment, and or expertise, if you happen to be a holistic medical doctor or an acupuncturist like myself, or someone who is a pro natural health advocate. So say this loved one of yours gets sick and now is suffering the consequences of their choices, whether that be, medications injected into their veins to help them treat this illness, or whether it's, in my case, 11 different medications that have, side effects that kind of counteract each other. Anyway, um, and perhaps that has something to do with, the kidneys and or blood not functioning well. Or it could be in your case, that parent or sibling or loved one, that husband is choosing to, involve themselves in a toxic load every day that is well known to be a toxin, or just has addictions that they are not ready to work on or heal. What is your level of responsibility? Now, I definitely understand the argument that, if this is a young person under the age of 18 and you are their guardian, yeah, there's probably some degree of parental responsibility that is required. You cannot totally let them go, okay, good luck, and some people do. They kick their kids out of the house, you're doing drugs, you're out. And that could be the responsible thing to do. Because if you are enabling them by making it easy for them to stay and keep their addictions and keep their bad habits, who are you really helping? You're not helping them, you're helping yourself. Oh, but I'm helping them, I'm giving them money, and I've sacrificed this and that, and a lot of parents and people say that. But radical self-responsibility is really looking at moment to moment, what is for my highest and greatest good for my health and well-being. This is very different from what people will call selfishness. Selfishness tends to be, at least in my definition, is doing something for yourself that is harmful to the other person, directly harmful. Now, you might argue, well, yeah, well, if I don't help my parent, do this or that, they might get sicker. Okay, but that was their choice, right, to do X, Y, Z, and they are an adult. And if you sacrifice yourself and your own health for that person, you're doing it for you. You're doing it so you don't feel guilty, so you feel like you're a good person. So at the end of the day, when there's some sort of tally, like Santa Claus, are you a good girl or bad girl? Good boy, bad boy? You're on the good girl side or the good boy side. There's no such tally. You are responsible for your own health and well-being. And if you are not healthy, if you are not happy, honestly, how well can you help someone? So just keep in mind when you sacrifice yourself, and I've been there, done that. So I'm not saying I'm perfect. Okay. When you sacrifice yourself because of something you said you think you should do because you've committed to this person, you love this person, even if the person is doing the best they can, you're doing the best you can, right? But if you sacrifice yourself and are not radically self-responsible for your own health and well-being, the energy that emanates from your being literally tells the universe to give you more crap. Yes, I'm being forceful in my explanation. Yeah, so the energy that we emanate literally informs the universe to give you the same. It'll reflect it. It'll mirror that, right? And people wonder, oh, why does things, happen in threes and things get worse and worse and worse all at once? It's because you reacted to the first thing. Yet lack of control of your own emotions doesn't mean you have to stuff your emotions, but you need to process them and know how to process them. Whether you do it through EFT tapping, or whether with a counselor, or whether using Topican healing, or the emotion code, or something else. So this can seem like an avalanche of negativity and negative things happening to us when we go into that mode of, I have to, I'm obligated to. Right? There are people that have said to me, well, I had to get the jibby jabby. I said, oh, they tied you down and they forced you? Well, no, I had to get it because I needed my job. And I said, so you chose to do it, even though you didn't want to do it. So you violated your own sovereignty and self because of your scarcity thoughts and needs for this. And I'm not judging if you did get the jibby jabby, right? Just know that you did it for you, not for somebody else. You think you did it for someone else, perhaps, but you did it for you. So you didn't have to put up with the gaslighting, the the negative, the negative onslaught of what people might think of you, that you're gonna kill grandma, like all this kind of stuff. Well, some of us, guess what? We were radically self-responsible. We said no because we knew it wasn't good for us. And yeah, we got all that BS thrown at us. But that was the harder thing to do in that case, to stand up for ourselves. So if you're sacrificing, you think that's a harder thing to do? It's not. The radically self-responsibility means the harder thing to do is to feel in and go, does this serve me in this moment? Or am I self-sacrificing? And if you're self-sacrificing, the harder thing to do is to stop. To stop and go, whoa, okay, yep, not going to work for me today. And that's something you need to learn the language to. There are many books and things. I'm not going to mention all of the possibilities, but maybe it's you committed to something and you need to decommit even for a day. Just say, hey, you know what? My body's feeling really tired in this moment, and I know I committed to this, but right now I need to decommit to this and, work on myself. Or I really feeling I need to rest right now. And I'd love to help you. I'd love to do this. And I said I was, and I'm very sorry. But right now, I really need to get my energy back up. And even I've done this recently where I have made a commitment to talk to people, to do certain things for the well-being of my small group. And even I said, hey, I'm taking a sacred pause for doing this thing I said I was going to do, because currently I'm in a self-healing mode and I'm processing some healing, and I'm in a low energy state temporarily, and I need to regroup my energy so I'm in a good energy space when I do that outreach, right? So the person that I'm out, doing the outreach to, there's no point in reaching out to that person if I'm in a state, right? They're going to feel that energetically and they're going to be like, ugh. Yeah. So coming from that state of, okay, I am repleted, I am grounded, I am taking care of myself, even though it might upset somebody else that you're taking care of yourself. They might even call you selfish. The harder thing to do is to take that comment and not take it personally, not take it on, and be really true to yourself and go, okay, this is radical self-responsibility here. Whew, this is not easy. But you know what? It gets easier. And even if you do decide to do something where you're like, oh, kind of stretching here, kind of pushing a little bit, you just radically own that you're doing it. It's like, yep, I know I could stop. I know I could stop. And that part of my ego, that part of me that really wants to finish this project, even though it's 1 a.m. in the morning, or I'm just so, whatever, right? You're radically responsible. So yeah, if you're tired the next day, it's not somebody else's fault that you decided to continue, right? It's not even a fault. It's like you made a choice, and those are the consequences of your choice. So when we jump timelines, when we go to that higher vibration, these actions where we sacrifice ourselves, where we push, where we do things that we know darn well are not good for our bodies, but we do it anyway because we're trying to help someone. Yeah, temporarily you can do for an hour, 2 hours, maybe a day or two, right? But longer than that, you're going to mismatch your higher vibrational state that you've jumped to. And that ain't going to be pretty and that ain't going to be fun. So I'm here to say, be willing to do what's hard. Be radically responsible for yourself because no one else is going to do it. If you're wishing for it to be easier, do what's hard. Because the ascension expansion process, it's going to continue happening. So stop waiting for it to be easy. I'm saying all this in love, right? You know that, guys, right? Okay, let's move on. Let's do some announcements. So on Monday, I have a beautiful soul sister, Carrie Hummingbird, coming back on Light Warrior Radio to talk about a whole bunch of things. But one of the things we wanted to talk about is that beauty of the different realms, the lower realm, the middle realm, the higher realms. And specifically, I wanted to ask her about that lower realm place where sometimes we can journey through the underworld, if you will, for our own healing and how all that works. How does that actually work? She also talked about how stones and items of nature can hold frequency so you do not have to hold it all yourself. So I think this is pretty important stuff. I'm going to put the link near this video so you can tune in Monday at 12 noon to listen to that show. And if you can't make it, just click that link later on and it will be archived for you. Some things I want to make sure we also announce is last week, well, depending on when you're watching this, a few days ago or last week, my co-hosts from Pat's training team, Christine Baker, Ollie Stewart, and Leslie Wendland, and I did a class on the metal element in Chinese medicine. So if you happen to have symptoms of coughing, itching, I had that, problems with pooping and grieving, right? That could be very much related to something you may need to correct in your acupuncture meridians and points. So we'll show you some points. We'll show you how to use them. We'll actually show you how to even use phototherapy on the points instead of needles to activate those. So take the class, check in, see if you have those symptoms, see if you have those patterns. If you do, then likely your metal element in your body is out of balance. And then we'll also put the link below this video in case you do want some sort of consult with our crew. You can do that as well. So we have a replay of this in our Light Medicine community in the mini courses section called the Holistic Health Roadmap. So we'll put those links below so you can join in. Next announcement, the Light Warrior Training Camp is happening in a couple weeks. Oh my gosh, it's almost July, right? Yes, and one of the things I love to do is just integrate the knowledge that I have, and I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly working towards mastery because that's my joy. I love doing that. So anything that I learn that is relevant to you, yeah, we're gonna do that at camp. Um, so of course we're gonna still do the material that's in the Sensitivities or Superpower book, right? Like training the weather magic, the telekinesis, the hands-on healing, and divine muscle testing, all that kind of stuff. But we're also going to do some of the latest things that I've been guided to share. And since it's a small group, we'll have plenty of time for mini healings and mini assessments as well along the way. So if you are desiring to have face-to-face, in-person time with me and receive mini healings, ask questions, really have that focused time with like-minded people, relaxing in nature as well, and having a lot of fun, please come to camp. There's only a few days left. Well, depending again when you listen to this video, there may be no days left. As of this recording, there are a few days left for you to register, and I'll put that link below. Would love to see you, and this may be the very last North American camp that I do myself in person. So would love, love, love to see you. All right, so let me just check in to see if there are any other announcements for today. Oh, well, for the Americans, I would like to wish for July 4th, Happy Independence Day. And what's fascinating to me is I'm learning more and more about what it really means to have independence, not independence per se, because interdependence is where the new world is at, not independence, but independence meaning freedom from slavery is more exact. If you were at our Health Freedom Tribe, we had a guest speaker, Corey Engerlot, who talked all about his new book, Slavery Gone for Good, and about our true history in America around that topic. So, wow, yeah, perfect timing for Independence Day. Um, Nevertheless, if you do celebrate that, happy Independence Day to you and happy Canada Day for those in Canada. All right, much love. We will see you next week. Bye for now.